Joining me now here with a very important initiative, not just for him, but for everybody else. To talk about that is a Pro Football Hall of Fame longtime friend, Brian Dawkins. Good to see you, Brian Dawkins. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed, and it's good to be seen.
It is our pleasure to see you on the screen here, man. You're one of my favorites. I remember NFL Network comes on the air, man. We were firing up Eagles Cam for you all the time on NFL Total Access. I'm talking with you, and your Eagles teams were always in that mix. It was awesome, Brian. What are your memories of those days, Brian?
Oh man, the days or me and you chatting it up.
No, your days of playing. You and I already know how you feel about that because I feel about it the same way about you and I.
Yeah,
but playing,
no, it's go ahead.
No, playing in those Eagles days, man. Like, what was that? What was that like for you?
No, it was obviously it's something that was built up. It didn't just exist. It didn't just start off where it was. It was something that we had to go through some tough times. We had to grow, to a whole bunch of growing to do as a team. And I would tell you, and I tell everybody that, the team that Andy got, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the team that Andy and Jim Johnson went on to coach, we bonded through some tough times. Me, that defense, myself, Troy Vincent, Hugh Douglas, and all those guys like Trot, we bonded. Like we would watch film together and about effort that we weren't going to just let up on as far as accountability for one another. So there was a love in the room and appreciation in the room for one another. So that when we then moved on and then Jim got us, he got a Gristle group. And so it was that group, obviously the offense as well. Deuce was there. And so we had a mindset of working together, holding one another accountable, that allowed us to do what we did year after year after year. And obviously, Andy Reid and what he brought in, his philosophy and what he brought in as for same thing with Jim Johnson. But there was a mindset that was adapted by us as far as how we want to approach off seasons and then seasons that had us in the hunt every year.
Yeah, and in terms of bonding, building in the city of Philadelphia, and then holding each other accountable, kind of sounds like a perfect entree to discuss the current Philadelphia Eagles, right? With A.J. Brown saying, I'm just holding people accountable when I'm at my locker after a 9th straight win, talking about the passing game being an issue. And, and then the rest of the team throughout the week saying, hey, we're just talking about getting better. And a lot of us in the, observation mode are like, okay, let's see how this one works out. And they go out and punk the Steelers. And I'm just wondering, like, do these Eagles need that sort of drama in order to be successful? Do you think, Brian, from afar here? What do you think?
So here's the thing. If you look at last game and you can't see with your eyes that there was a struggle to get the ball in the air and get completed passes and get runs after catch, that it was a struggle for them to do that, then you're not watching the same game that I'm watching. Yes, there was some struggles. They won the game. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the great thing about it. In some locker rooms, a win is a win, and the win brushes over everything. So why are we talking about anything and we're winning? No, you actually have individuals that care enough about what they do on the field, how they go about doing their business, and knowing the grand scheme of how they lost last year in the playoffs, to recognize that, yes, we won the game, but there needs to be always but. In every game that you win, besides the Super Bowl, there always should be a but. If you win, there should be a but. But this. Because there's always things to fix. There's always levels that you can increase to. And if you have a mindset that you want to stay comfortable and get comfortable in victories, but you don't want to challenge yourself and hold yourself to a high standard, and it's ultimately about that. What is the standard that you hold yourself to? Do you hold yourself to the standard of, hey, let's just win? No, you hold yourself to, yes, let's win. But what did I do to attribute to it? What did I do, or what could I do better to make sure that if we're faced another opponent and another opponent is better, that my standard then rises to another level of how I need to perform, right? So to me, that's what you're hearing. You're hearing guys that had that conversation. They said some things in the media. They had their tough conversations, hopefully behind closed doors. But then you saw a product show up on the field. That means to me that not only were the words heard, but they were listened to, they were talked about, and then actions were put in place so that they can come on the field and perform and do better. And they did.
Yeah, 10 wins in a row, right? And so that is the ultimate, I guess, indicator whether it is working or not. So are you saying you're not concerned at all with the manner in which, even with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, kid and play dancing their way to a victory, there still was a moment with Jaylen Carter on the sideline that, Big Dom had to get between the coach and Jaylen Carter, and it's just, I looked at it, I was referring to it, Brian, as a family that, loves each other, but they got to argue it out and have friction in order to come together closer. Like, that's what these Eagles look like to me,
Yeah, but you also have to recognize who you have in Jaylen Carter. Like you have probably perhaps one of the best pullback players in the game of football. When I say pullback players, it's a guy that you have to tell to slow down, not speed up. Like, hey, slow down. Hey, let's channel this. He has something to him, like his willingness to go. Matter of fact, does he even come off the field? Like I didn't look at that. Like, does he come off the field? And if he doesn't come off the field as a defensive lineman, like that's very rare that a guy doesn't come off the field as a defensive lineman. So, and then he goes hard every play, right? So he has so much to give. And sometimes when you have that, sometimes you go overboard. Got a 15-yard penalty. Yes, it was not the smartest thing to do. Got it. But also that he gets ramped up. And when he gets ramped up, then that's not really the time to come to be like really getting in his face. Like, let him calm down a little bit so that you can have a conversation with him, right? And maybe that's what was going on. I'm just speculating here now. Because I've had teammates like that. Like, we have to, hey, coach, we got him. To let him cool down a little bit, then the coach can come say what he needs to say, and then we move on with it. But that happens, bro. Let's just don't allow that to be something that you think, oh, there's chaos in the locker room before. No, that's not chaos. That happens from time to time on the sideline, especially on game.
You're from Jacksonville, went to Clemson. We'll talk about your college, before I let you go. And when did you know you were going to be perfect for Philadelphia? When did you know, okay, this is not, maybe the neighborhood I grew up in, not the area, not the situation that I was in college, that this is a different sort of city that you need to be cut out for? When did you know you were cut out for it, Brian?
Right away. Know why? Because I grew up in a neighborhood that even on Little League, and I'm not saying this is the right way of doing it.
Sure.
Like the coaches, they coached us and they didn't always use like eloquent words to challenge us as young.
Not everyone got an orange wedge. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
No, not everybody got orange wedges.
No participation trophies in Jacksonville?
No, they would kick water off the table. Like you don't running hard enough, that there's no water for the practice, right? So my point is, like I've heard language and all of those things, and people and those coaches. I knew those coaches cared about us, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't necessarily communicate in a way that I would communicate, but again, I know what that felt like, right? So when I went to Philadelphia, I'm kind of right at home. Now, they didn't say use in Jacksonville, right? They didn't use a whole lot. But it was, still that firm love. I call it love. It's still love. It's an aggressive love, but it's still love.
I love it. Brian Dawkins, Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get to the It Takes Two Health Initiative and to spread awareness about kidney health. And you're going to be part of the Rose Parade in 2025 in that regard. So what is this about, Brian Dawkins?
Yeah, first of all, I'm so proud and blessed to be a part of it. Berenger and Lily allow me to be a part of it. And for me, at first, it hits home first, right? So when I heard about these two qualifications that could potentially get you into a space of having chronic kidney disease, and that's type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, both my mom and dad have type 2 diabetes. My mom, high blood pressure is under control for now, and then my father has always been battling up and down when it comes to that. But so when I got that information, there's specific tests. It takes two. That's the initiative. So it takes you and your doctor, and it takes two tests, a urine and a blood test, to see if you are heading down that path to have chronic kidney disease. And so once I got that information, one thing you know about athletes, myself being one of those individuals, is that we're extremely proactive with our health for the most part. Not everybody, but for the majority of us, I would say, are very proactive when it comes to health. And so I'm very proactive with my health now. And so I wanted to get that information over to my parents, caregivers, my aunts and uncles to make sure that they get these tests done if they fall into those two parameters, right? So that we can make sure that they have all the things that they need, that if they do have it, they can start that process, whatever that their doctors decide. And then if they don't, to make sure that they're still on the list to be tested going forward throughout their lives, right? So again, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to have a platform that people listen to me, especially when it comes to health and taking care of your body. This is a vessel. This is the only one that we get, right? So that if I can then talk from a platform to help people to then go out to then get these tests done so that they can, again, get these tests done so that you know that you're in the proper hands, and then you get the proper diagnosis, and then you do whatever it is that you and your doctor, your team decide that you need to do going forward so you can stay here. So that's my main thing about this, helping as many people stay here and stay healthy for as long as possible.
Testyourkidneys.com for more information and resources about what you're talking about, Brian Dawkins. Make sure everybody, certainly if you feel that you are just like Brian's family might have a history of this, go check it out again, testyourkidneys.com. Clemson's going to win it all? Brian, what do you think? You're going to beat Texas, go on a run? What are you thinking here?
They're in the playoffs.
Right.
So as the saying goes, there is a chance. There is a chance.
Okay. Speaking of, if I'm not mistaken, how many Clemson Tigers are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
I don't know. You talking about in all sports?
No,
in Clemson?
No, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How many Clemson Tigers?
No, but I'm talking about all sports.
Oh, okay, sure. No, am I correct? Are you the only one? Were you the first from Clemson?
Yeah, and that blew me away when I learned that.
Me too. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that.
That blew me away. I was like, wow, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a blessing. I'm humble. Absolutely humbled by that.
I know, man. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, taking on Texas, and Peyton, his nephew might be coming to try and break things up for you, Brian. I mean,
Listen, that's going to be a tough. It's to go into that house to try to win a game. Like that's going. Listen, they can't have any turnovers. I mean, they're going to have to play, I won't say a perfect game. Nobody plays a perfect game, but they can't hurt themselves going to Texas and thinking they're going to win a game.
Yeah, and then they move on to maybe Arizona State, and then we'll see what happens if they can come out of the 12th seed right there. So what is your prediction right now as we're sitting here with 3 weeks to go in the NFL season for who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl in New Orleans?
I haven't thought about it like that.
Well, now you have to, Brian, because it's Sports Talk Radio. I want to ask you that question.
So obviously it's going to be Eagles, right?
Okay, let's do that.
The Eagles. Yeah, they're going to be in that time. I'm still gonna put Kansas City in there. I would say the Ravens and obviously Detroit. So that would be my four.
Okay, and then if I had to press you, and I'm about to, who makes it? What do you think? For who
makes it?
Yeah, who's in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59? Brian Dawkins. What do you think?
I right now. You twist my arm.
I've just done.
You gotta give me a doggone answer. I would say it would be the Ravens against the Eagles.
The Ravens. Why do you like the Ravens, Brian?
I left Buffalo out. I'm tripping. Oh man.
Sure. Yeah. Let's not forget.
Can I do 5 then? Because Buffalo got to be in there. Buffalo got to be in there.
There's only 2 that play though.
All right. Okay.
Only 2 that play. You know this. You know this personally. You know this. So. Come on now. What do you think? Who makes it? You're putting the Eagles in out of the NFC. I got that.
I'm putting the Eagles in.
And in the AFC, who do you have? Who do you?
I just messed my whole train of thought up when I thought about Buffalo. Like
Mhm.
that just threw a complete wrench into that formula.
How good is Josh Allen, man?
That's my point. That's my point. That's my point. Wow, man. Okay, so if where does the championships go through?
I'm going
It's
to
gonna
say it's
speed along.
Kansas City. I'm going to say it's going to go through Kansas City. Let's just do that because they
All
are the
right.
one seed, and they're probably going to be the one seed because they're 2 up on the Bills. So
Yeah.
there's that.
So if it goes through there, then that's going to change everything that I just said in my
Okay.
humble opinion. I believe that they play well in the playoffs, and even though they're struggling at times here during the season, they seem to kick it to another year in the playoffs. So if it still goes through Kansas City, I think it would then be Kansas City, and then it would be a repeat of Super Bowl a couple of years ago,
What
but
if?
it won't be.
Okay. And then last one for you, Brian Dawkins. If I had the temerity, the gumption to walk up to you, because I was on that field on that night where your Eagles lost to the Patriots, to have the Patriots go back to back, and if I'd walked up to you and said to you, the next team to go back to back would be coached by Andy Reid in Kansas City, and Andy Reid would have the chance to have a threepeat, to be the first ever coach to threepeat. What would you have said to me if I walked up to you in that moment and told you that about Andy Reid, Brian?
Makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Andy and even then, Andy was not obviously the Andy of today. He's grown in so many ways as far as his play calling is concerned. But his formula has been the same. Like if you look at his teams when he's had success, he's had someone of this defensive coordinator that can call a heck of a game, and now he has Spags doing that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Spags has won the most Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator in NFL history. So at some point, he may even, I think he should be in the doggone Pro Football Hall of Fame for what he's done. But he's always had those things. Special teams have always been strong. And then him as a play caller has always been able to kind of balance things off as far as the run pass game. He's done a much better job of that now in the last, 15, 20 years than during my time.
Brian, you're the best, man. I miss talking to you. Let's do this again anytime. Seriously, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about, whatever's important in your life. You're truly one of my favorites. When I said this at the very beginning, NFL Network comes on the air in 2003. You were there. You were always there, and you were always cool to NFL Network and me and Total Access, and I always appreciate it. You were balling out then, and you were always giving of your time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Right.
Appreciate it. God bless you.
Right.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everyone.
Right back at you. Testyourkidneys.com, and always check out Brian Dawkins whenever you can, certainly on social media. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.